Here's a statistic, an important one. About 53% of Americans say that they get their news from social media, according to Pew Research. And for younger adults, 18 to 29, that's over 75%. So people today, especially younger people, use TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. It's not just for entertainment. This is how reality of what's going on in the world is explained, which means that most of what we believe today comes from not what we see ourselves or what we research in the facts, but what we hear or read or absorb. And this week's Parsha teaches us an important lesson and a relevant section of the Torah for our time. Until this point, belief came from experience. The Jewish people saw slavery collapse. They watched Egypt unravel. They witnessed the sea split. And the Torah says that they believed because they saw. And when reality overwhelms you, belief is natural. It's easy. But then comes Yitro, the father-in-law of Moshe. And he didn't see any of it. He wasn't in Egypt. He didn't experience the plagues. He didn't walk through the sea. And the Torah introduces himself with two words. Yitro heard. He heard. That's it. He heard the story. And Moshe, he comes and Moshe explains to him what happens. And then he responds, he says, now I know that God is great. And the key word is now. It wasn't like a burst of emotion. It was a conclusion. And the commentaries say that he didn't just accept what he heard. He came, he spoke to Moshe, he walked through it, and Moshe didn't just describe the miracles, he explained them, the details, the precision, and some commentaries say that he was struck by how precise it was and how the punishments were a measure for a measure, and he analyzed, he studied it, and then he believed. And that's critical because he showed us that doubt is not the opposite of faith. Unwillingness to think is. And emunah, belief, is not passive. It demands an effort. And what does he do with that faith, with that emunah? He helps. He helps build the systems. He strengthens the structure of the community. He helps build the courts and the legal system for Moshe. And he takes that belief and he turns it into responsibility. The second half of the Parsha, the more famous part, talks about Mount Sinai, where we get the Torah. And here, it's a completely different story. God says, I'm going to speak to the people, and they will hear. And they don't just hear about God, they experience his presence. And they said, we'll do it. They say, Naaseh, and they say, Naaseh v'nishma. So which is the real foundation of faith? Is it seeing? Is it hearing? Is it reasoning? Is it researching? And the Torah's answer is, it's all of it. Belief built only on experience doesn't last. Even after the splitting of the sea, the people struggle, they doubt about food and water, and belief built only on hearing is dangerous too, because stories can be distorted, narratives can be reshaped, repetition can replace truth. And this is where the Torah makes an important point. At Sinai, the Jewish people received two things: a written Torah, which is fixed, anchored, unchanging, and an oral Torah, which is explained, an interpretation, a transmission. And this message is that text alone isn't enough because it can be misunderstood. Oral explanation alone isn't enough either because it can drift and it can be manipulated. That truth survives only when experience, text, and responsible transmission work together. And now I think that's why we see the beginning of the Parsha and the end are very connected. That Yitro models how belief begins, hearing, questioning, verifying, and Mount Sinai models how belief survives, experience anchored by structure, and transmission guided by responsibility. And this speaks directly to our world, because we live in an age where people believe things because they saw a clip, or heard a story, or read a headline, or an emotional TikTok video. And the Torah says that that's not enough. If you have questions, good. And if you have doubts, that's healthy. But you're obligated to do the work, research, look deeper, seek context, learn from reliable sources. And that's not skepticism, that's Torah thinking. That's what the Torah wants from us. And one final point, that we're not just consumers of information, we're transmitters. That what we repeat becomes somebody else's beliefs. And what we pass on becomes somebody else's truth. People listen to us and they take that word as truth. And that's why the Torah was never meant to be inspirational alone. It was meant to be studied and questioned and explained and transmitted carefully. And this Parsha teaches us that real faith isn't built from a moment of inspiration or something you hear. It's built from engagement. That, of course, seeing matters, hearing matters, reading matters, but only when we're willing to think, verify, and take responsibility for what we pass on. And in a world overflowing with information, that might be the most important idea of all.